Hey, Dave, welcome to the Z Learning Podcast. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me so much.
My pleasure. And I know we've had a few interviews in the past, so always love keeping up with what you're doing with your awesome books and all the stuff you share on social media. So thank you so much. So your new book, Get Over Yourself. Um, it talks a lot about delegation. And so my first question to you, Dave, is why do so many entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, find it so difficult to delegate? I'm sure you've heard many excuses and justifications from people as to why they're not able to or cannot delegate a certain task, some of which you mentioned in the book. But what are some of the big hangups people have with delegation? Is it fear? Is it like hustle culture and this belief that, I should be able to do it all? Or in your experience, what usually holds them back and how can they get over themselves?
Yeah. So first, I wrote the book because in my experience now, through a couple decades and a lot of different businesses and a lot of organizations that support small businesses, I've seen that delegation is one of the biggest issues that entrepreneurs and small business owners struggle with, and sometimes they don't even realize how much they're struggling with it. But it's this inability to build a team and to give work to others. And I think there's a lot of reasons that folks struggle with it. Um, but it's almost all up here, right? These are all, right? I identify in the book four what I call emotional detractors that keep people from delegating well. And those are fear, lack of trust, need to control, and perfectionism. I think fear is the biggest one. Folks are afraid that if they give somebody else to do the job, they're not going to do the job well. They're not going to do the job right. They're going to fail. They're going to lose clients. They're going to go out of business. The list goes on and on and on. But the acronym for fear, of course, is false evidence appearing real. Um, it, Fear is in our heads, and we need to get through that fear and have courage, right? Courage is the ability to be afraid and then act in the face of that. And if we let fear hold us back, we'll never be able to grow as individuals and as entrepreneurs and as business owners. So the fear one is a matter of understanding how scary it is to give other people work and then going through the process and finding people. And the trust issue, same thing. People are afraid to trust others, strangers, new employees, et cetera, with important tasks, with important clients, important customers, et cetera. But we've got to be able to get through that and build trust with people one small task at a time, one project at a time, one day at a time, one week at a time. And then the last two, this control and perfectionism. Um, some people struggle with that more than others, and it's a matter of coming to a place where we realize that we can't control most things, and we certainly can't expect perfection. There's really no such thing as perfection. It's a myth. And everything is about continuous improvement. There's no such thing as perfect. And when we get to the place where we realize A, we can't control things, and B, no such thing as perfect, we can move past those mental hangups and get through and delegate better.
Yeah, well said, Dave. And I know that I've struggled with any combination of those, sometimes definitely trust. And, you can fall into the trap of either micromanaging or giving them not enough direction and leeway, especially if you're busy doing a lot of other things. And then, mistakes can happen. Um, so let's say, how does one determine what to delegate and what to keep for oneself? And if most things are delegable, as you say, then what's left for the business owner to do?
By the way, that's the first time I think I've heard the delegable word um, uh, said out loud. A fun fact: when I was writing the book, my editors added that word, and I was like, delegable. I've never heard that word. It's such a strange word. I don't know if anyone uses it, but
I
indeed,
love
it is
it.
a
When I
word.
read it in the book, I was like, that's a word. I love it. And when
Yeah.
I wrote into my question here on Google Docs, Grammarly AI did not flag it. So I was shocked. Yeah.
No, who knew? It's a word, and not only is it a word, it's a word that makes sense, right? So great question, Zev. And the thing is, in our heads, mostly, most work is not delegable. But in real life, in reality, most work is in fact delegable. In my model that I talk about and Get Over Yourself, I really say there's only three things Three, that entrepreneurs should not delegate, should focus on themselves. The vision and the strategy. And by the way, this is for entrepreneurs and small business owners, but I think this model goes across anyone that manages a team. So it's when I say these things, it's the vision and strategy for the company. But if you manage a team as part of a much bigger company, it's the vision and strategy for the team. The hiring, what people and what seats, and the what I call accessing resources, making sure that there's enough money in the bank that to pay all of your employees, making sure that there's enough tools and resources that all of your team can do their jobs well. That's it. Everything else is delegable. Now, if you love marketing, you want to do the marketing for your company, okay. If you love sales, you want to do the sales for your company, okay. If you love coding and you want to build the product, okay. I'm not saying you can't do these things, but all of these other tasks besides strategy, hiring, and accessing capital, those are all delegable. And it's very rare that we have this hang up. We think that we're the best person for the job, but why? Why are you the best? Why are you the best person for the job? Are you are you both? Are you an amazing marketer and an amazing salesperson and an amazing coder and an amazing UI person and an amazing customer service rep? No, there's no one on the planet that's amazing at all those things. So it's just silly to think that we're the best person for the job. We're rarely, if ever, the best person for the job, and we can always find somebody better to delegate the work to, somebody better and smarter in the particular area to delegate the work to.
Great. And you just alluded to it. I know that you shared some of the acronym from your share model, which people can definitely read in the book. This is the share model that you present as the backbone to becoming an effective delegator. One of the things you mentioned in share, the H, is hiring the right people. How do you hire the right people? Or do you have any tips you can share for finding, interviewing, or choosing the right fit for your team? I guess I'm asking this selfishly, but I'm sure this will help many of my listeners as well.
Yeah, no, it's a hard one and it's a really important one. And many folks struggle with hiring the wrong people. So, the adage is hire slow, fire fast. And most people hire fast and fire slow. Most people do the opposite approach. Um, it's important to hire very, very carefully. I can tell you, what I do in our companies and certainly what I write about in the book. It's around looking for core values fit, um, asking specific questions that get at core values. So, for example, bidirectional mentorship is one of the core values of my company, Apprentice. So I ask, tell me about a time when you learned something from a manager, and tell me about a time when you taught something to a manager. Okay, they have to give me real experiences that demonstrate the core value that I'm trying to get at. Intelligence or ability to have the sort of capacity to do the job at hand, very important to me. And then probably most important is coachability. So we, no matter how smart you are, there are some people that are not very coachable. They think they're the best and they don't want to learn. And then no matter how unintelligent someone is, there are people that are just so driven to learn and grow and be coached to success that coachability becomes a very, very important factor. So helping to understand the core values fit, how smart they are, and how coachable they are, how able to be self-reflective and to evolve and to be dedicated to their own personal and professional growth. Those are what I look for when we're thinking about hiring folks.
Amazing. So you actually answered another question I had, which was which one of those in this which one of those in the four qualities you mentioned, core values, fit, intelligence, talent, coachability, or ability to communicate, do you think is the most important, and why? It's so funny because I was actually thinking coachability. That stuck out to me the most, and I had a feeling that would probably be the one. Maybe you can go into a little more detail about why coachability is so important, and also how you can maybe try to measure that when you're, screening a candidate.
Yeah, great. So coachability, I think any entrepreneur has had the experience of something that's not very coachable and how frustrating it is. It's demoralizing and frustrating to have somebody that thinks they know better and is tough to coach up. Those are people I need to, when I make the mistake of hiring these people in the first place, that's where, fire fast comes in. I need to get those people out quickly. On the reverse side, we've all had the experience, or hopefully, of hiring people that are extremely coachable and just want to grow. And they make a mistake only once, and then they learn from that mistake, and they're just so driven to improve. I just hired this young lady to be an apprentice for me to work on the book launch here, and she made me a custom Zoom, and took her like 20 minutes. Like, kids are amazing at the work they can do. And I gave her some feedback, and within 10 minutes, she had given me version 2 that you're looking at right now. That's
Looks great.
that's coachability. That's coachability, right? It's wonderful. So to your other questions, Ev, this idea of how I test for it, I ask questions that have demonstrated past experiences. So tell me about a time that you made a mistake and how you learn from that mistake moving forward. So that tells me, but because, by the way, coachability is their ability to be coached by us and their leaders, but it's also your ability to be coached by yourself, right? So, like, you know, okay, I screwed this up. What did I learn from it, and how can I move forward? That's coachability. So when I ask questions about past experience, that gets to this topic of coachability.
Yeah, I love that approach of asking people to talk about past experiences with it, that to really demonstrate, not just anyone can kind of lie on a resume. And I think coachability, obviously anyone you hire has to have intelligence and some level of talent, but I almost would prefer someone who really wants to improve, has a growth mindset, which I know you talked about in the book. I'm a big fan of that whole Carol Dweck growth mindset, and somebody who's willing to grow and improve that can be coached. It's more important often than someone who's smarter, or the smartest guy in the room. um so what are some of the most common delegation mistakes you've seen, and how can we avoid or overcome them?
Yeah. So, at the risk of stating the obvious, the first is not delegating in the first place and trying to do all the work yourself. Um, that's probably the most common. The second most common is kind of the opposite, delegating a lot but micromanaging and getting in people's faces and being very controlling, and um that that happens a lot too, and folks need to just lay off. No, you have to put yourself, and this is an important, I guess this has been a running thread in all of my books. Um, put yourself in the other person's shoes. You have some empathy, and anyone that's experienced a micromanager
Hmm.
can empathize, can remember what that was like and avoid becoming that micromanager when we're in the position. We've got to give people the space to make mistakes and learn on their own.
I think it
That
often
said,
comes from fear or trust issues, that one. Yeah.
totally, totally, totally. That said, the other mistake that I've seen a lot is um not necessarily giving people the tools and resources to succeed, not necessarily being available and checking in to make sure that they have those tools and resources to succeed. So there needs to be a steady stream of support that you give your person that you're delegating to succeed as well.
Yeah, communication is so important. And you really shared a lot of really helpful, practical, actionable takeaways here for delegation and management, which I think is important in leadership, not just for business owners or entrepreneurs, but as you said, also managers at companies. I guess we'll close with, what motivated you to write this book, and where can people learn more?
Yeah, thank you. I've seen so many people struggle with this, and wonderful, well-intentioned people. And it's one thing to struggle and not be able to grow your business because of lack of delegation. But I think for me, what's more heartbreaking is seeing people struggle with it and the impact that it has on their lives. I write a lot in the book, of course, about prioritizing and what's the point of all of this. The point of all of this for me is not necessarily to, I mean, it's nice to build big companies, but the point isn't to build the biggest possible company. The point is, I'm getting off the phone with you, Zev, in 3 minutes because I'm going to pick up my kid off the bus, because I pick up my kid off the school bus every single day, because I've prioritized that and I've set boundaries and I've created a life for myself that allows me to delegate all this work to others so that I can be the best possible dad and the best possible husband, the best possible community member that I can be. Now, those of you that are listening and watching, you may not have the same priorities I have, but surely you have a priority in your life, whether it's your health or time with your children or dating or time with your aging parents, whatever that priority is. In my humble opinion, delegation and learning how to better delegate is the tool that will allow you to better prioritize what's most important to you. And so for me, my goal with this book is to help people get to that place where they are living their best life and being able to prioritize their own families and their own lives over their work and their careers. I'm easy to reach. Getoveryourselfbook.com, Amazon and bookstores everywhere for the book, davekerpen.com for the speaking, and scheduledave.com if folks want to meet with me pro bono. I do Thursday afternoon office hours every Thursday. I've done it for the last 10 years. I've now met with over 800 people, which is an amazing, I'm very proud of that gift that I've been able to give to that many people. So I'm happy to chat with anyone that wants to chat with me out there.
Awesome. Everyone definitely take advantage of that. And also check the show notes and where I'll put the link to the Amazon. You can pre-order your copy of Get Over Yourself Now. Dave, thank you so much and looking forward to doing this again sometime soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.